We live running, convinced that hurry will bring us happiness. But what if urgency is just an illusion that steals our peace, clouds our mind, and keeps us trapped in circles, always rushing but never arriving? Here on Dharma, we explore how Buddhism teaches that true freedom is not found in running faster, but in learning to stop, to breathe, and to live fully in the present moment. In this video, we will journey through 12 chapters of wisdom to uncover how to transform hurry into awareness and urgency into serenity. And don't forget, I've prepared practical exercises in a free PDF that you can download to apply these teachings in your own life, starting today. The illusion of urgency. From the moment we wake up, the sense of urgency surrounds us. The alarm rings, and before even opening our eyes fully, our mind is already racing, messages to answer, tasks to complete, deadlines waiting. We rush through breakfast, rush to work, rush from one obligation to another, as if life itself were always running ahead of us and we were forever trying to catch up. Society applauds this pace. The busier we are, the more valuable we appear. Quick replies are seen as efficient, packed schedules as signs of importance, constant movement as progress. We live under the belief that speed is success, and urgency is proof that we are doing something meaningful. But here lies the great illusion. The more we hurry, the further away peace seems to be. The finish line never arrives. Every time we think we are close to relief, a new urgency appears. The to-do list never ends, the inbox never empties, the next challenge is always waiting. Urgency promises freedom, but in reality, it chains us to an endless race. Buddhism invites us to question this cycle. What if urgency is not a fact, but a story our mind tells us? What if most of what we call urgent is nothing more than pressure created by fear? Fear of being left behind, of not achieving enough, of not being enough. This is why hurry feels so heavy, not because the world is demanding it, but because our own mind has learned to live as if everything depended on speed. Look closely, and you will notice something revealing. Many of the things that feel urgent today will mean very little tomorrow. The message we felt guilty for not answering immediately, the rush through a meal to save 5 minutes, the constant checking of notifications, none of it adds real value to our lives. Yet in the moment, it feels like life or death. This distortion is the essence of the illusion. Urgency also feeds the dangerous belief that happiness is somewhere ahead, waiting for us if we just run fast enough. But every time we arrive at a goal, the sense of urgency attaches itself to the next one. It is like chasing the horizon. No matter how fast we move, it always stays out of reach. The truth is simple yet hard to accept. Urgency is not a sign of living more fully, but of being pulled away from life itself. While we rush, we miss the very moments that make life worth living. The warmth of a meal, the sound of laughter, the silence of a pause. All of it gets lost when urgency blinds us. To begin freeing ourselves, we must first see urgency for what it is, an illusion. Not every demand requires immediate action. Not every problem needs solving at once. Much of what we treat as urgent is nothing but noise dressed as necessity. When we see through this illusion, something inside us loosens. We begin to realize that time is not an enemy chasing us, but a space in which we are meant to live. And this is the first step on our journey, recognizing that urgency is not reality. It is a lens, a distorted way of seeing, and like any illusion, once it is seen clearly, it starts to lose its power. Why we always feel rushed. If urgency is an illusion, why do we fall into it so easily? Why does life so often feel like a race that never ends? To answer this, we need to look at the roots of hurry, the forces that shape the way we live and think. One of the strongest roots is social pressure. From a young age, we are taught that being busy is being worthy. At school, the student with the most activities is praised. At work, the employee who stays late is admired. In society, those who move the fastest, who achieve the most in the shortest time, are celebrated as models of success. It is not surprising that we grow up measuring our value by our speed. Another cause is comparison. We live in constant visibility. We see what others do, what they buy, where they travel, what they achieve. Social media magnifies this to an extreme. The more we watch the lives of others, the more we feel we are behind, and the natural response is to speed up, to catch up with a race that is not even ours. Fear also plays a powerful role. Fear of being left out, fear of missing opportunities, fear of not fulfilling expectations. Hurry often hides this fear. We say we are busy, but what we mean is that we are afraid of stopping, afraid of falling short, afraid of being judged as less. The rush becomes a mask to cover insecurities we don't dare face. There is also the culture of productivity. In modern life, everything is measured in terms of output. How much we do, how fast we do it, how efficiently we perform. Rest is seen as laziness, slowness as weakness. Even moments of leisure are turned into tasks. Exercise must be productive. Hobbies must bring results. Relaxation must improve our performance. When every aspect of life is turned into a race, the feeling of being rushed becomes constant. But there is something more subtle: habit. We get so used to rushing that it becomes our default mode. Even when we have no real urgency, we create it. We walk faster than necessary, we eat in haste, we fill silence with activity. We forget how to live without hurry, and when life slows down, it feels uncomfortable, almost wrong. The body and mind have been trained to live in acceleration. The tragedy is that this habit disconnects us from life itself. When everything is urgent, nothing truly is. We burn energy on false alarms, and in the process we lose clarity about what really matters. The important gets buried under the noise of the immediate. Understanding why we feel rushed is essential. Without this awareness, we believe the illusion blindly. We think life is pushing us, when in reality it is we who have trained ourselves to run without pause. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. By naming these causes, social pressure, comparison, fear, productivity culture, and habit, we take the first step in loosening their hold. The question is, if these are the forces that keep us running, what would happen if we simply stopped? What would happen if, instead of competing, we chose to step aside from the race? This question will lead us deeper into the Buddhist view of time and presence, where the possibility of another rhythm begins to open. The Buddhist view on time and presence. In the world of hurry, time feels like an enemy. It slips through our hands, it pushes us forward. It never seems to be enough. We live as if time were chasing us, and we are forever one step behind. But in the Buddhist view, time is not something to fight. It is not a force outside of us, but a dimension we live within. The present moment is not just a point on a line. It is the only reality we ever touch. Most of our suffering with urgency comes from living either ahead of ourselves or behind ourselves. We dwell on what has already passed or worry about what might come. The mind projects forward, tomorrow's tasks, next week's deadlines, the fears of what could go wrong. Or it drifts backward, regrets, missed chances, memories we cannot change. In both cases, we abandon the only moment in which life truly happens, now. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is complete. Nothing is missing here. When we are present, even the simplest acts gain depth. Drinking water, feeling the breath, listening to a sound. These are not small interruptions in life, they are life itself. Hurry blinds us to this reality, making us believe the value of life lies somewhere ahead. Presence brings us back to what is already here. Think of the difference between running through a garden and walking slowly through it. When we run, we barely notice the flowers, the light, the air. We are only aware of reaching the other side. When we walk, we discover details, the fragrance, the textures, the colors that were always there but invisible to us in our rush. The garden didn't change, our way of being did. This is the shift that presence brings. Time itself feels different when we are present. In hurry, minutes vanish and leave us empty as if hours were stolen. In presence, even a short moment feels rich, expanded, full. This is why the Buddhist masters say that a single mindful breath can be more alive than an entire day spent rushing unconsciously. It is not about the quantity of time, but about the quality of our attention. Living in presence also changes how we relate to problems. When we are lost in hurry, difficulties appear larger than they are because we imagine them stretching endlessly into the future. But when we return to the present, we often see that right here the situation is manageable. The fear lives in the imagined tomorrow, not in the reality of now. This does not mean ignoring the past or refusing to plan for the future. It means not letting them steal the only space where life unfolds. Plans are useful, memories have meaning, but they must not take us away from the richness of the moment we are breathing right now. The Buddhist view of time is not about rushing forward, but about living fully. Presence is not a luxury for retreats. It is here in each step, each word, each breath. When we realize this, urgency loses power, and time becomes a space to live, not an enemy to outrun. How hurry distorts the mind. When we live in a constant rush, our perception of reality becomes blurred. It is like looking at the world through a shaking lens. Everything is moving, but nothing can be seen clearly. Hurry does not only affect our bodies, it reshapes the way our mind interprets life. In a state of hurry, small problems appear huge. A short delay feels like disaster. A simple mistake looks unforgivable. An unanswered message seems like rejection. The mind exaggerates, inflates, and distorts. What might have been minor becomes overwhelming, simply because we approach it with agitation instead of clarity. Hurry also fragments our attention. Instead of being fully present with what we are doing, the mind leaps from one thought to the next. The email to send, the call to return, the task waiting after this one. We live scattered across many imagined moments and absent from the only real one. This constant fragmentation weakens our capacity to focus, to enjoy, and to respond wisely. Perhaps even more dangerous is the illusion that speed equals progress. We feel that because we are moving quickly, we are advancing. But in truth, much of our rushing is circular. We repeat patterns, jump from one urgency to the next, ending the day exhausted, but unsure of what we truly accomplished. Hurry gives the illusion of direction, while in reality it often leaves us in the same place, only more tired. The distortion goes deeper still. When we are always rushing, we begin to see others not as people but as obstacles. The driver going slow frustrates us. The colleague who needs more time irritates us. Even loved ones who want our attention feel like interruptions. In this mindset, compassion shrinks and relationships lose depth. Hurry narrows our heart as much as it narrows our mind. To understand this distortion, let us pause with a simple Zen story. A student once asked his master, "Why do I always feel anxious even when I have nothing urgent to do?" The master replied, "It is like walking through a field of flowers while carrying a heavy bucket. The flowers are beautiful, but you see only the weight of the bucket. Put it down, even for a moment, and the flowers appear." Hurry is that heavy bucket. The flowers, the life around us, have always been there. But when the mind is rushing, it only sees the burden. The distortion is not in the world, but in the way we carry it. When we begin to notice this, something shifts. We see that our stress often has less to do with the situation itself and more with the speed we impose on it. By slowing down even slightly, the distortion fades. The same life that seemed overwhelming begins to look manageable, even beautiful. This is the gift of awareness, to recognize that hurry is not just a faster way of living, but a different way of seeing. And when we change how we see, we change how we live. The link between hurry and anxiety. There is a hidden cost to living in constant hurry, and that cost is anxiety. When we rush, the body and the mind enter into a state of tension, as if danger were always around the corner. This connection is so close that many of the symptoms of anxiety mirror the effects of hurry. Shallow breathing, tight chest, restless thoughts, a constant sense of unease. Hurry is not just a busy schedule. It is a signal to the nervous system that something is wrong, that we are in danger of being late, of failing, of missing out. The body responds as if chased by a threat. The heart beats faster, stress hormones rise, attention narrows. Even if there is no real danger, the body lives as if there were. Day after day, this becomes a silent storm inside us. Anxiety feeds on this pace. The faster we go, the more our mind expects us to keep up. If we pause, anxiety whispers that we are wasting time, falling behind, losing our place. The very act of slowing down can feel unbearable because our inner alarm has been ringing for too long. Hurry trains us to confuse stillness with danger, when in truth, stillness is where healing begins. This is why so many people feel unable to rest, even when they desperately need it. They sit down to relax, but the mind continues to race. They go on vacation, but cannot stop checking their phone. The body is still, but inside, the race continues. Hurry and anxiety have become inseparable companions. The tragedy is that this state robs us of clarity. When anxious, we see threats everywhere. A delay becomes catastrophe. A challenge becomes overwhelming. The unknown becomes unbearable. Hurry magnifies anxiety, and anxiety in turn fuels more hurry. We run to escape the discomfort, but the more we run, the more it grows. The Buddhist path reminds us that peace cannot be found by running faster than anxiety. It is found by turning toward it with awareness. Noticing the breath as it is, feeling the ground beneath our feet, returning to the present moment. These simple acts begin to loosen the grip of anxiety. They remind the body that it is safe, that not everything needs to happen right now, that life is not an emergency. Imagine standing beside a river in flood. The water rushes violently, carrying debris and noise. This is what hurry and anxiety feel like inside us. But if we step back even a little, we can see the river differently. We notice that beyond the surface there is depth, and that the current, though strong, is not endless. Stepping back does not stop the river, but it changes how we meet it. This is the practice that begins to dissolve anxiety, stepping back from the race, even for a breath. It may not silence the rush at once, but it plants a seed of calm. With time, that seed grows into trust, that life does not collapse when we slow down, and that peace is possible even in the middle of movement. The illusion of control through speed. One of the most seductive promises of hurry is control. We believe that if we move fast enough, if we respond immediately, if we fill every gap with action, then we will stay ahead of life. Speed becomes our way of trying to master uncertainty. The faster we go, the safer we think we are. But this is only another illusion. Moving quickly does not give us control, it gives us the appearance of control. We check the phone dozens of times a day, convinced that instant replies will keep everything under control. We jump from one task to the next without pause, thinking that finishing faster means life will finally calm down. Yet calm never comes. The more we chase it, the more it slips away. Speed does not protect us from uncertainty, it multiplies it. By living at such a pace, we rarely pause long enough to see clearly what really matters. We end up reacting instead of choosing, pulled by noise instead of guided by intention. We do more but with less meaning. The sense of control dissolves the moment we realize how fragile it really is. This illusion is especially dangerous because it seems so rational. Who would argue against being fast and efficient? But beneath it lies a fear we seldom admit. The fear that if we slow down, we will lose our place, fall behind, or be overtaken by others. Hurry becomes our shield, but it is a shield made of paper. Consider this. How many times have you rushed to complete something, only to find that the relief lasted minutes before the next urgency appeared? The victory of speed is always temporary. We cannot run faster than life because life is not a race course with a finish line waiting. It is more like the ocean, vast, shifting beyond our control. Trying to master it by speed is like trying to control the waves with your hands. Buddhism invites us to face this illusion directly. Real control does not come from racing ahead. It comes from presence, from clarity, from responding with awareness rather than reflex. Slowing down does not mean losing control. It means shifting from the fragile control of speed to the deeper stability of calm. When we drop the illusion, a new freedom appears. The freedom to choose our pace, to give our full attention to what matters, and to stop confusing movement with mastery. Speed is loud but shallow. Calm is quiet but deep. And only in that depth do we find true control, the kind that does not crumble the moment life changes. Running in circles, why we end up exhausted. There is a strange irony in living with constant hurry. We move fast, we expend energy, we collapse at the end of the day. Yet when we look back, it often feels as though we haven't truly gone anywhere. Hurry gives the impression of progress, but the experience is closer to running in circles. Think of how many times you have repeated the same cycle. Wake up already stressed, rush through meals, answer countless messages, push yourself through tasks, collapse into bed, only to wake and do it all again. Different details, same loop. Hurry is not a straight road, it is a wheel. We run and the wheel spins faster, but we remain in place. The exhaustion of this cycle is not only physical, it is emotional. We grow tired of chasing goals that move further away the closer we seem to get. We grow weary of living in a rhythm that never allows pause, never offers the space to breathe. In the end, the body is drained, but the spirit is even more so. The tragedy of running in circles is that it blinds us to alternatives. When we are caught in the loop, we forget that there are other ways to live. We mistake repetition for necessity. We believe this is just how life is and stop questioning whether it must be so. Hurry tricks us into accepting exhaustion as normal. And yet, once in a while, something happens that reveals the truth. A pause we did not choose, a moment of illness, an unexpected delay, a sudden loss, interrupts the circle. For a brief time, we step outside of the wheel, and we notice that life continues even when we do not race. The world does not collapse when we slow down. In fact, sometimes it opens. This is why Buddhism speaks not of running faster, but of stepping outside of the race. The circle will keep turning as long as we keep feeding it with our speed. The moment we stop, even briefly, we realize that the ground beneath us is steady. Life was never chasing us. We were the ones running endlessly inside our own tracks. Running in circles is the perfect symbol of urgency. It promises progress, but delivers exhaustion. The way out is not to run harder or smarter, but to step aside entirely, to see that the circle is not a prison we are forced into, but one we reinforce each day by choosing speed. When this insight arrives, a door opens. We realize that we are not condemned to repeat the same loop forever. We can choose a different path, one that moves forward, not in frantic circles, but in steady steps of presence. And it is in those steps, slow and conscious, that life finally begins to feel like progress, not exhaustion. The wisdom of slowing down. In a world that celebrates acceleration, slowing down feels almost rebellious. We are taught that value lies in doing more, producing more, moving faster. To stop, even briefly, can feel like a failure, as if we are letting life pass us by. Yet paradoxically, it is only when we slow down that life begins to reveal itself fully. Slowing down is not about laziness. It is about wisdom. It is about recognizing that constant speed blurs our vision, while a slower pace sharpens it. When we move more gently, we notice details we had overlooked, hear sounds we had ignored, feel connections we had numbed ourselves to. Slowing down is not stepping out of life. It is stepping into it more deeply. This wisdom appears in the smallest of acts. Eating slowly, we taste more. Walking slowly, we see more. Speaking slowly, we understand more. What seemed ordinary begins to shine with presence. Slowing down is not about doing less, but about experiencing more fully what we do. The fear of slowing down is often the fear of missing out. But the truth is that hurry makes us miss more than slowness ever could. When rushing, we may cover more ground, but we miss the richness of the ground itself. When slowing down, we may cover less distance, but every step becomes meaningful. The body itself knows this wisdom. Notice how the breath changes when you are in a hurry, short, shallow, restless. Now notice the breath when you pause, deeper, steadier, nourishing. The body naturally finds balance when given space. Slowing down is not forcing calm, it is allowing the body and mind to return to their natural rhythm. There is also courage in slowing down. It takes courage to step aside from a culture that equates speed with success. It takes courage to say no to the constant push, to resist the demand to always be faster, always be available, always be producing. But this courage gives birth to freedom. The freedom to choose how we live, not simply follow the pace others impose. Consider the difference between a rushing river and a still lake. The river moves rapidly, noisy and restless. The lake is quiet, yet it reflects the sky with perfect clarity. Slowing down makes our mind more like the lake, still enough to reflect reality as it is. This is not passivity, but strength, the strength to see clearly and respond wisely. This wisdom has practical consequences. When we slow down, decisions improve, creativity flows, relationships deepen, health recovers. None of this is possible in the frenzy of hurry. Speed may get things done, but it often gets the wrong things done. Slowness does not mean inaction. It means choosing with clarity. Slowing down also reveals an unexpected joy. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, even strange, like silence after too much noise. But as the discomfort fades, joy arises. Joy in a meal, joy in a conversation, joy in simply being alive. This joy does not come from adding more to our lives, but from being present to what was already here. The wisdom of slowing down is the wisdom of remembering that life is not a race. It is a journey meant to be lived, not rushed through. And in this wisdom, urgency begins to lose its grip. We realize that the finish line we were running toward was an illusion, and the real treasure has been with us all along, hidden in the pauses we were too busy to see. The power of presence in everyday life. It is one thing to speak of presence in theory, and another to experience it in the middle of our daily routines. Many imagine presence as something reserved for meditation halls, retreats, or special moments of silence. But its true power is revealed in ordinary life, while eating, walking, speaking, or even waiting in line. Presence transforms the ordinary into extraordinary. Eating becomes more than fueling the body. It becomes a way of honoring the food, noticing textures, appreciating flavors, and feeling gratitude. Walking shifts from simply moving from one place to another to being aware of the ground under your feet, the rhythm of your steps, the air filling your lungs. Conversations stop being an exchange of words and become true encounters where we listen not just to respond, but to understand. The beauty of presence is that it does not require adding anything to our lives. We do not need more time, more resources, or special circumstances. Presence asks only for our attention here and now. It is available in the simplest acts if only we choose to notice them. In hurry, life feels like a checklist. Eat done, call done, work done. Presence changes this rhythm completely. It is not about doing faster, but about being deeper. Even if the schedule remains the same, the experience of it becomes entirely different. One mindful meal can nourish more than 3 rushed ones. A single conversation fully attended can be more meaningful than a dozen distracted ones. Presence also protects us from one of the greatest traps of hurry, the feeling of emptiness at the end of the day. Many people rush all day, only to lie in bed at night wondering where the time went. Presence prevents this. When we are present, we do not lose the day, we remember it, we live it, we carry its richness with us. A day lived with presence does not vanish. It stays with us like a clear memory, a treasure. And presence is contagious. When we bring our full attention to another person, they feel it. They feel seen, valued, respected. Presence strengthens relationships in a way that words alone cannot. Often, the most powerful gift we can offer someone is not advice or solutions, but our full, undistracted attention. Presence also changes how we relate to challenges. In a state of hurry, problems seem overwhelming because the mind multiplies them, imagining outcomes, projecting fears, rehearsing scenarios. In presence, we see only what is before us, and often it is much smaller than the storm we created in our thoughts. A problem faced with presence is rarely as heavy as one carried in hurry. Perhaps most importantly, presence brings back a sense of wonder. Children live naturally in presence. They marvel at a leaf, a stone, a sound. Adults lost in hurry forget this capacity. But when we slow down and give our full attention, wonder returns. We notice the play of light on a wall, the laughter of a stranger, the feeling of our breath. Suddenly, life becomes rich again, not because it changed, but because we did. This is the secret power of presence. It makes the life we already have feel alive. It takes no special effort, only the willingness to pause and look. In every step, every word, every breath, presence offers us back the richness that hurry had stolen. And with it, life ceases to feel like something slipping away and becomes once again a gift unfolding in our hands. Freedom beyond hurry, letting go of the race. For most of our lives, we have been taught to see life as a competition. At school, we compare grades. At work, we compare salaries. On social media, we compare lifestyles. Even in personal goals, we compare ourselves with our own imagined standards of who we should be by now. This comparison fuels the race, pushing us to run faster, not out of joy, but out of fear of falling behind. But what if there is no race? What if the finish line we are running toward does not exist? The idea that life is a contest, that we must outpace others, that we must prove our worth through speed, this is one of the deepest illusions of all. And breaking free from it is one of the greatest freedoms we can discover. Letting go of the race does not mean giving up on growth or abandoning dreams. It means shifting from running against others to walking with ourselves. It means measuring life not by how far ahead we are, but by how fully we are present. The moment we stop comparing our pace with someone else's, a weight lifts. Life becomes lighter, more ours, less borrowed from the expectations of others. The race is seductive because it gives us a false sense of purpose. We believe that if we win, if we reach success faster than others, we will finally feel complete. Yet time and again, those who run hardest discover that the victory feels empty. The satisfaction fades quickly, replaced by the next demand to run again. The race never ends, and that is precisely its trap. When we let go of the race, something remarkable happens. We begin to discover our own rhythm. Every person has a natural pace of living, like a heartbeat unique to them. Hurry drowns it out, forcing us into rhythms imposed by culture, by competition, by fear. But when we stop racing, we hear it again, the gentle pace at which we are meant to live. And in that rhythm, life feels more authentic, less strained. True freedom is not being faster than others, but being free from the need to compare. It is walking your own path, even if it looks slower from the outside. It is trusting that what matters is not how quickly you move, but how deeply you experience. Imagine standing on a busy street, watching people rush past. Everyone is in a hurry, faces tense, eyes fixed ahead. Then imagine stepping aside, sitting on a bench, and simply watching. The race continues, but for the first time you are not in it. You breathe, you notice, you exist. This small act is already liberation. You are no longer measured by the pace of others. Letting go of the race also transforms relationships. When we are not competing, we stop seeing people as rivals or obstacles. We see them as companions, each with their own journey, their own pace. Compassion grows when comparison fades. We can walk alongside others without the need to overtake them. This freedom is radical because it goes against the current of the world. The culture around us still runs, still shouts for more, faster now. But freedom does not require the world to slow down. It requires us to stop running with it. When we do, we discover that life is not something to be won, it is something to be lived. The greatest gift of letting go of the race is peace. Peace in knowing that you do not need to prove your worth by rushing. Peace in realizing that your value is not measured by speed, but by presence, kindness, and awareness. Peace in discovering that life was never about arriving first, but about living fully. This is the freedom beyond hurry, not to outpace, but to outgrow the need for the race itself. Practical steps to live with inner calm. After seeing the illusions of hurry, the damage it causes, and the freedom that comes when we let go of the race, a question naturally arises. How do we live differently? Awareness alone is powerful, but awareness needs to translate into daily actions if we want real change. The good news is that the path to inner calm is not complicated. It does not require extraordinary effort, but rather small, consistent steps that gradually reshape the way we live. The first step is learning to begin the day without rushing. Most people wake up already in a state of tension, reaching for their phones before they even breathe deeply once. This habit immediately throws the mind into urgency, flooding it with messages, deadlines, and distractions. Imagine instead waking up and giving yourself even 2 minutes of silence before touching anything. Feel the breath, notice the body, acknowledge that a new day has arrived. Those few minutes set a rhythm of calm that influences everything that follows. Another practice is to give full attention to simple actions. Eating is a perfect example. Most of us eat quickly, barely tasting what we consume, treating it as fuel rather than an experience. But eating slowly, noticing the flavors and textures, transforms a meal into nourishment for both body and mind. Walking is another. Instead of treating it only as a way to reach a destination, walking with awareness, feeling each step, the ground, the rhythm, turns movement into meditation. These small practices remind us that presence is available anywhere, not just in quiet moments of solitude. A third step is creating pauses in the day. Hurry thrives on uninterrupted momentum. We rush from one task to another, never giving the mind or body space to reset. By intentionally adding pauses, even short ones, we break the cycle. It can be as simple as taking 3 breaths between finishing one activity and starting another. This pause, though tiny, clears the mind, refreshes the body, and prevents urgency from taking control. Boundaries are another essential practice. Hurry often comes not from our own rhythm, but from the demands of others. Saying yes to everything, always being available, constantly responding. These habits feed urgency. Learning to say no, to protect moments of rest, to limit constant notifications is not selfish. It is necessary for sanity. Boundaries create the space where calm can grow. We can also change how we measure our days. Instead of asking, "How much did I accomplish?" we can ask, "How present was I in what I did?" One deeply focused hour often has more value than a whole day spent distracted. By shifting our measure of success from quantity to quality, we free ourselves from the tyranny of constant productivity. And then there is the power of silence. Silence is often feared in a noisy world. We fill every gap with music, screens, or chatter, as if quiet were dangerous. But silence is one of the most healing forces we can invite into our lives. Even 5 minutes of quiet each day, without phone, without conversation, can reset the nervous system, ease anxiety, and bring clarity. Silence is not emptiness. It is space where life breathes. These steps may sound simple, almost too simple, but that is their power. Hurry convinces us that solutions must be complex, that peace is far away. In truth, peace is close. It begins in the smallest shifts, in how we wake, how we walk, how we eat, how we pause. Each small act weakens the grip of urgency and strengthens the rhythm of calm. And here lies the deeper truth. Living with inner calm is not about withdrawing from life, but about engaging with it more fully. It is not about doing nothing, but about doing everything with presence. The path to calm is not outside us. It is in how we meet each moment. Step by step, breath by breath, these practices transform our days from races into journeys, and as we live them, we begin to see that calm is not a distant goal, but a companion that was waiting for us all along. The joy of living fully in the present moment. If hurry is the thief of life, presence is its restoration. There is a quiet joy that waits for us when we stop running, a joy that does not depend on achievement or speed, but on the simple act of noticing what is already here. This joy is not loud or dramatic. It does not announce itself with fanfare. It arrives gently, the way dawn replaces night, subtle, natural, inevitable, when the conditions are right. The first source of this joy is simplicity. In hurry, we constantly believe we need more possessions, more recognition, more progress. But when we inhabit the present moment fully, we realize that joy has been available all along, hidden inside ordinary things. A sip of cool water on a hot day, the smell of bread in the oven, the softness of a quiet evening. None of these require wealth or status, yet they can flood us with gratitude if we are attentive. Presence also reveals joy in our relationships. Hurry often makes us treat people as obstacles or tasks, someone to get past, someone to answer quickly, someone to move aside. In presence, this changes completely. When we listen without distraction, when we sit with another person without checking the clock, something rare and beautiful happens. We truly meet. In that meeting, connection is born, and from connection, joy naturally flows. Another form of joy comes from discovering that life is not slipping away as we feared. When we live in a rush, time feels scarce, always escaping us. But when we live in presence, time expands. Minutes feel spacious, conversations feel longer, even silence feels full. The same hour that in hurry disappears without trace, in presence becomes memorable, alive, and meaningful. This shift in how we experience time is one of the greatest sources of inner joy. There is also joy in reclaiming ourselves. Hurry scatters us. Part of our mind is on yesterday, part is on tomorrow, part is on the task, half finished. In this scattering, we lose the sense of being whole, but when we are present, we come back together. Breath, body, awareness, all aligned in the same moment. This wholeness brings relief, and relief turns into joy. It is the joy of returning home to ourselves after being away for too long. Presence also restores wonder. Children live in constant wonder because they meet the world without hurry. A puddle is a universe, a stone, a treasure, a shadow, a mystery. Adults, consumed by urgency, forget this capacity. Yet it is not lost, it is only hidden. When we slow down and truly look, wonder returns. We notice the way light falls across a room, the sound of rain on a roof, the intricate detail of a leaf. Presence reawakens the childlike joy of simply being alive in a mysterious world. Another dimension of joy is trust. Hurry is fueled by fear. The fear of missing out, the fear of not being enough, the fear of falling behind. But when we live in presence, these fears loosen. We discover that even in stillness, life continues to unfold. We are not losing anything by slowing down. We are gaining everything. This realization builds trust, and trust is deeply joyful. It is the joy of knowing that we do not need to chase life for it to hold us. And perhaps the most profound joy of presence is freedom. Freedom from comparison, from deadlines that define our worth, from the endless chase of more. In the present moment, we are free because nothing else is demanded of us. Right here we are already enough. We do not need to be elsewhere, do more, or prove anything. This freedom brings a joy that no external achievement can match. To live fully in the present is to discover that joy was never missing. It was only covered by layers of noise, speed, and distraction. When those layers fall away, joy is revealed as the natural state of being alive. It does not need to be manufactured or earned. It simply arises when we stop running long enough to see. And so the present moment becomes not just a space to inhabit, but a source of nourishment, a well we can return to again and again. Every breath is an invitation. Every step is an opening. Every ordinary moment hides extraordinary joy, waiting for our awareness to uncover it. The courage to live differently. Choosing to live slowly in a world that worships speed is not easy. It requires courage, the courage to step out of the current when everyone else is rushing downstream, the courage to say no when the culture around us demands yes, the courage to trust that our value is not measured by how fast we run, but by how deeply we live. From the outside, hurry looks powerful. It is loud, fast, urgent. It fills schedules, fills conversations, fills our identity with activity. Calm, by contrast, looks fragile. It is quiet, simple, almost invisible. And yet, to choose calm in the face of constant pressure is one of the most radical acts we can make. It is a statement. I will not let the world dictate my rhythm. I will live from within, not from outside expectations. This courage begins in small ways. Imagine a room where everyone is shouting. To remain silent there is not weakness, it is strength. In the same way, to pause when the world is rushing is not laziness, it is wisdom. It takes courage to sit still when your phone demands your attention. It takes courage to slow your breathing when your mind screams for speed. These choices seem small, but together they form the path of a different life. Living differently also means facing misunderstanding. People may not understand why you do not rush like they do. They may see your calm as indifference, your slowness as inefficiency. But courage means holding steady, knowing that true peace does not need outside approval. With time, some may even be inspired by your example, sensing a depth in your way of living that hurry never gave them. This courage is not about resisting the world with force. It is about standing gently but firmly in another truth. It is about embodying a rhythm that is more human, more compassionate, more alive. In Buddhism, the greatest strength is not aggression but clarity. When we see clearly that hurry is an illusion, we no longer need to fight it. We simply step aside, and this stepping aside is an act of courage in itself. Think of a tree in the wind. All the grasses bend and twist in panic, trying to survive the storm. The tree, rooted deeply, sways but does not break. Calm is like that. It does not mean life will be free of storms. but it gives us roots deep enough to withstand them without being blown away. And those roots grow every time we have the courage to choose presence over panic. Another form of courage is patience. In a hurried world, patience is rare, even suspicious. We are told to be impatient with waiting, impatient with learning, impatient with growth. Yet life itself unfolds with patience, the seed becoming a tree, the child becoming an adult, the seasons turning in their time. When we align with this natural patience, we discover a different kind of strength, the strength to trust the rhythm of life instead of forcing it. Courage also means facing ourselves. Hurry often serves as a distraction, keeping us from the silence where our deeper questions live. To slow down is to face those questions. Who am I beyond what I achieve? What truly matters beyond what others expect of me? What kind of life do I want to live? These are not easy questions, but they are the questions that shape a meaningful life, and it takes courage to listen for the answers. In the end, the courage to live differently is the courage to live authentically. Not according to the race, not according to the noise, but according to the quiet truth we feel inside. It is the courage to build a life where presence is valued more than productivity, where kindness matters more than competition, where joy comes not from speed, but from depth. This courage does not grow overnight. It is built choice by choice, moment by moment, every time we put the phone down instead of checking again, every time we eat slowly instead of rushing, every time we breathe instead of panicking. Each of these moments is an act of quiet rebellion, a declaration of freedom. And as this courage grows, something extraordinary happens. Life changes. Not in dramatic bursts, but in steady transformation. The days no longer blur into each other. Relationships feel richer. The body feels lighter. The mind feels clearer. And we discover that the life we longed for was never waiting at the finish line. It was waiting in the steps we were too hurried to notice. To live differently is not to escape the world, but to engage with it on new terms, to walk with presence in a culture of absence, to choose calm in a time of chaos, to embody joy in a season of fear. This is not easy, but it is worth everything, and it begins with courage, the courage to stop running and the courage to live fully here and now. When we began this journey together, we asked a simple but profound question: is urgency real, or is it an illusion? Over these 12 chapters, we have seen that hurry is not a sign of progress, but a distortion that blinds us, drains us, and keeps us running in circles. We explored the roots of this urgency: social pressure, fear, habit, and we saw how it feeds anxiety and steals our clarity. We uncovered the illusions that speed offers, the false sense of control, the false promise of arrival, and we saw the heavy cost of always running, exhaustion, disconnection, and the loss of joy. But we also discovered another way. Buddhism reminds us that the present moment is complete, that slowing down is wisdom, and that presence transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. We learned that freedom comes not from winning the race, but from stepping out of it. That calm is not a distant dream, but a rhythm we can choose in each breath, each step, each pause. And we ended with the greatest gift of all: the joy of living fully in the present moment. This is the heart of the teaching. Life is not something to chase, it is something to live. My dear Dharma community, thank you for walking this path with me. Here on Dharma, we don't just share ideas, we share practices and reflections that can change the way we live. If these words have touched you, it is because deep down you already carry this wisdom. Sometimes all we need is a reminder. So let me leave you with one phrase, a seed to carry into your day. I choose presence over hurry. Write it in the comments if you feel it, or simply hold it in your heart. Each time you repeat it, you return to your freedom. If you found value in this video, and you think someone you love could benefit from it, please share it with them. A single reflection, given at the right moment, can open a door for another person. And remember, there is a free PDF linked in the description with practical exercises to help you bring these teachings into daily life. Take them, practice them, and let presence grow stronger each day. I am deeply grateful for your time, your attention, and your presence. This is what Dharma is, a community of people who want to live more consciously, more compassionately, and more joyfully. Thank you for being here. Until next time, walk slowly, breathe deeply, and remember, you are never late to your own life.